The Mariners just keep on making moves. We're going to go in and talk about their latest move in just a moment because I'm not saying they're the best team in the AL West, but between the Astros, the Mariners, the Angels, the Rangers, who's the other team in the AL West? Oh, that's it, because the other team is a Little League team. Of course, I was referring to the Oakland Athletics. Now, speaking of the A's, we all know that Liam Hendriks is a former Oakland Athletic. That's kind of where he broke out and became one of the best relief pitchers in baseball. Well, he posted on his Instagram, he said, recently, I was diagnosed with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. That is a cancer. So all of the prayers in the world are going out to Liam Hendriks. We all saw what happened to DeMar Hamlin. And of course, he's coming back. He's actually tweeting, and all of these things are happening behind the scenes. I'm hoping for the same with Liam Hendriks. Of course, it's not the same situation, but I am just praying for Liam Hendriks and his family. Baseball and sports, it always comes secondary to the health and the safety of these players. So Liam, one of the best good guys in baseball. He's so much fun to watch, both on and off the field. Of course, him being Australian just makes him that much more interesting. Liam Hendriks is a joy to watch, and again, prayers up to him. I really hope that he has a speedy recovery. So as we can see, the Mariners to sign AJ Pollock. AJ is going to the Seattle Mariners. If you're a White Sox fan, Christmas came early. He's leaving your team and never coming back, which again is a great thing because he sucked for you guys. As you can see, AJ Pollock almost had 500 at-bats, so it's not like it was a small sample size. He only had 14 home runs, 56 RBIs, a 292 on base percentage, and a 91 OPS plus. Yeah, I'm going to say he was terrible. But the thing that the Mariners really pride themselves on is they love to fill holes, even if it's not with a superstar player. AJ Pollock back in the day, he was really good. But one thing that AJ has always been above average at is hitting against left-handed pitchers. So even though he was terrible last year, he still managed to have a 286 batting average with a 935 OPS, a 156 OPS plus, and 11 home runs and 126 at-bats versus lefties. He is a lefty destroyer. And where does that come in handy? The guy that cannot hit lefties to save his life. Honestly, if there was a situation where my grandmother and Jared Kelenic were having to hit off a lefty to save my life, I mean, I would have a hard time choosing either of them. Now, of course, that is incredibly mean, but Jared Kelenic, he hit 175 versus righties, which was not great. And then against lefties, 157 with a 63 OPS plus. The difference, the slugging percentage. At least he had 11 doubles, 2 triples, 18 home runs, and 10 stolen bases versus righties. I mean, 10 stolen bases doesn't really mean anything, but I guess it does because he was on base more often. Versus lefties, a 228 on base percentage. Again, one more time, a 63 OPS plus, where the league average is 100. He was terrible. So the fact that the Mariners are giving AJ Pollock $7 to $8 million, it's not like he's going to be playing center field where he is his best defensively. Left field, I'm not going to lie, he's a little bit shaky. But AJ Pollock and Jared Kelenic, when you put them together, they're pretty decent. Jared Kelenic is still a young 23-year-old with a ton of talent. The only problem is he's having a tough time adjusting to Major League pitching. I mean, a lot of players struggle with that. Joe Adele, I don't know when he's going to figure it out. Hopefully he can be the next Byron Buxton. I mean, if you guys don't remember, Byron Buxton was terrible, horrific, even when he was healthy to begin his career, and then he figured it out. So AJ Pollock, he absolutely destroys left-handed pitching. He's going to be in left field, in my opinion, when a lefty is on the bump. And then, of course, if we're using common sense, Jared Kelenic is going to be the guy against righties. And I'm not going to lie to you, that's really, really smart. Jesse Winker, Kyle Lewis, Mitch Haniger, they're all gone. And honestly, if you just told me that the Mariners lost Jesse Winker, Kyle Lewis, and Mitch Haniger and somehow got better, I wouldn't believe you, because that outfield, honestly, just on their own right, those three guys is pretty good. Although you could argue Mitch Haniger is on the decline. Kyle Lewis was a fluke, and Jesse Winker just wasn't able to lift the ball as well as he could in Cincinnati. Maybe you can make the argument that they're not better, but I think they are. And to me, the proof is in the pudding. One more thing I want to mention, take this lineup with a grain of salt. This is the projected lineup against righties. I don't think it's going to go like this, but J-Rod, absolute superstar. Ty France, one of the most underrated players in baseball. A. Eugenio Suarez. They picked up Teoscar Hernandez and Colton Wong this offseason. Cal Raleigh as a catcher had 27 home runs. I know he had a 284 on base percentage, but a power hitting threat, switch hitting catcher, amazing. J.P. Crawford, not my favorite player. AJ Pollock and Jared Kelenic, they're obviously going to share time. I don't necessarily believe that AJ Pollock is going to be the full-time DH and that Jared Kelenic is going to be a 9-hitter. I think that Sam Haggerty proved some nice things in 2022 with 13 stolen bases, a 335 on base percentage. He's a utility guy. And of course, we have to talk about the Mariners starting rotation. Luis Castillo, Logan Gilbert, Robbie Ray, George Kirby, Marco Gonzalez. I mean, I'm not saying that this is better than the Astros rotation, but this is probably better than the Astros rotation. I know that Framber Valdez is a monster, and Christian Javier is one of the most underrated pitchers, but I mean, Gilbert is a dog. George Kirby, he showed a lot of things last year that impressed me. I like this rotation, although Marco Gonzalez, he's very mid in my opinion. Like, he's the definition of a mid starting pitcher. And actually, now that I just said all of that out loud, I'm still gonna go with Framber Valdez, Christian Javier, Hunter Brown, Lance McCullers, Luis Garcia, and all of the other guys in the Astros rotation. The Mariners are good, don't get me wrong. Castillo, Gilbert, and Kirby, that's a really good 1-3 punch, but Robbie Ray, Marco Gonzalez, they kind of scare me. And then, of course, you have to mention the buzzsaw that is their bullpen. Chris Flexen probably is going to be the long reliever, so that's just another bonus for the Mariners. I mean, they could be a first-place team. If the Mariners somehow become the first-place team in the AL West, whether it's by one single win, let's say that the Mariners win 97 games and then the Astros win 96. That could happen. With the Astros, they win 101 games and the Mariners, they win 99. The Angels, the Rangers, they've all improved. So I guess the easy wins are going to come against the A's, and yeah, that's the Mariners kind of offseason in a nutshell so far. All right, moving on over to some speculative stuff, some rumors. Apparently, Miami is shopping not Sandy Alcantara, their Cy Young winner, Pablo López, Jesus Luzardo, Edward Cabrera, and Trevor Rogers. The reports are all four of these guys are on the market right now. We know that Pablo López is probably the best right now of the bunch, although Edward Cabrera, Jesus Luzardo had some really good seasons last year. Trevor Rogers, we'll talk about him because he fell off a cliff. Pablo López, if you don't remember, he was offered to the Yankees in a trade last season. The Marlins, they wanted a little bit too much. They wanted Oswald Peraza, who was one of my favorite prospects, not just for the Yankees, but in all of baseball, and second baseman Gleyber Torres. Gleyber gets a lot of hate, but I'm going to say this right now. Gleyber was very good in 2022. The Yankees obviously thought this was too steep. Pablo López was pretty good last year. He had a 3.75 ERA, and over his last 182 innings has a 3.5 ERA. Yeah, he's really good, but he is not worth Oswald Peraza and Gleyber Torres. The Marlins are on crack. If I'm the Marlins, I definitely hold on to Jesus Luzardo because he was sick last year. Check this out. I'm going to go by splits. 2022 splits. Jesus Luzardo was an absolute monster in the second half of last year. In the second half of 2022, in 12 starts, he had 79 strikeouts and 71 innings. He had a whip under 1, a .981 whip in the second half. I mean, he really showed that he can be a top-level starting pitcher in Major League Baseball, whether that's a grade 2 or 3. I would not trade Jesus Luzardo. He's 25 years old. He's only going to get better. I would move on from the he's only 26. Yo, the Marlins have pitching for days. We haven't even talked about Edward Cabrera, who's 24 years old. He had a 3.01 ERA, 75 strikeouts, and 71 innings. If you play MLB The Show, you know that a couple games ago, he was one of the best starting pitchers in the game before everyone just spammed him, and he became kind of easy. Edward Cabrera at 6'5", he's an absolute workhorse. And speaking of 6'5" workhorses, Trevor Rogers, again, he fell off a cliff last year, a 5.47 ERA after almost winning the Rookie of the Year award in 2021. Second place, he had 157 strikeouts and a 2.64 ERA in 133 innings in 2021. And in 2022, according to this guy right here, I thought this was pretty damning evidence. Jeff Zimmerman on Twitter pointed that when Trevor is throwing a changeup, his arm slot is lower than the fastball. So hitters might have been picking up on this. Austin Riley, maybe he took this 450 to dead center. I don't know, but the fastball arm angle is definitely higher. I mean, if you take a look right here, the ball is pretty much kissing the lip of the grass. And then if we go to a changeup, an off-speed pitch, yeah, it's nowhere close. So as a hitter, you have to take advantage of that. And in my opinion, that's why the swing and miss stuff was way down. Trevor Rogers is still nasty, but yeah, we can see that's why his ERA ballooned to 5.47. He's got to get the command in check, and he's got to keep that arm slot pretty similar from pitch to pitch.